Hi there, welcome to a new episode of A Teal Journey. Talking today about some of the other fun stuff that happens whenever you're in chemo. And one of the things that happens is they react very quickly anytime you have an infection. So that is what happened today. I woke up and had pain when going to the bathroom and assumed I have a UTI. Which, of course, is exactly what I have, as was confirmed by the urinary analysis that they did at the cancer center. So they're sending it off for culture to find out what exactly it is and then figuring out what antibiotics I need to be on. I do have antibiotics for the weekend, and that will help at least stop it from getting worse before I get on the other antibiotics that they want. I don't enjoy being sick, and I wanted to work today, but I ended up spending the entire day in bed and barely got out. I am a little more awake this evening, so that is somewhat better. Another little tidbit I found out is I cannot eat a full meal the week after chemo because I had lunch a couple of days, and after I got back to work in the afternoon, had a lot of nausea despite the meds. So I ended up going home and resting because I just couldn't stick it out, so that was not fun. I'm hoping next week to get through the entire week at work because we have 4 days since we have Monday off for President's Day. Then we'll see. The next week is going to be the next chemo session, so that'll be coming up very soon. Seems like there's never enough time between them. I've been trying to drink a lot. I keep water and Propel on hand, along with some Gatorade and other types of drinks just to have real quick in case I need something. I usually keep tea as well. Since I'm diabetic, I don't use sugar, so it's the sweet tea that is already sweetened in the packets just to make my life a little bit easier. Though sometimes it's an effort just to get down there and make the tea, so having some water and stuff like that in my room is helpful. I didn't get a lot of terrible symptoms. No mouth symptoms yet, like this mouth sores or anything. Just nausea after I've eaten. I haven't had a lot of it, just if I eat too much at one time. But usually it's okay if I snack throughout the day. So I'll know after the next chemo to try to eat like that and avoid having a larger meal. So that'll help. As far as other things that, the exhaustion was really the bad part. Because it was like for 3 days I couldn't really get out of bed. It was really bad. And I'm not looking forward to that again, but at least I'm prepared for it. So that will be coming up, I'm sure. And then I have a CT scan this next week for my chest, just as a check as the beginning of chemo, and then they'll run another one at the end of chemo. So that should clear my mind that if there's nothing there, then at least I know there's definitely been no spread, which from what we can tell, it probably hasn't spread to anywhere else because it would have spread to the omentum before anywhere else in most cases. I mean, we can't ever count it out until I have the test done, and the good news is that I did get my CA-125 back, which was at initial finding of the mass was almost 3,000, and right before surgery was 178, is now down to 10.6. So that's another indication that the cancer has been contained, because that is a good number to have. The only other problems I've been having are hot flashes, and I don't know if it has to do with the menopause from the surgery or if it has to do with reaction to the chemo. It's hard to tell because it could be either one. It's more of a just get really hot, then cool down really fast, and just my temperature as general seems to be warmer than it used to be. That is something that I'm keeping an eye on. So far I haven't had any bone pain from the shot they give me the day after chemo. Muscle aches at the beginning. I had a lot of that, but so far they seem to be dissipating. No back pain or anything like that. Just like I said, just the weird kind of sensation in my scalp. So we'll see how that goes. Other than that, there's not been a whole lot of big things that happened as a result of the chemo. It definitely could get worse as it goes further, of course, so that is always a possibility, and one that I have to be ready for, because the more chemo, the more likely those side effects are going to hit. As far as life in general, things have been relatively normal other than the chemo itself. I'm starting to clear up after my incision looks a lot better, and my bruising is starting to fade finally. So that's been good. I don't know how long it'll take because bruising on me takes a while to go away, so we'll see. Still have bruising on my arm from where they tried to get IVs in me, but like they told me at the surgery center whenever I was having the port put in, that the oncology nurses were going to be very happy that I got a port, because it just takes so much effort to get vein on me because they're so small and deep, and they roll, so that's always fun, because I've had up to 6 times to try to get a vein just for blood work. So the chances of me keeping the port for a while is pretty high, because then I can still go over to the oncology unit to get my blood drawn every 3 months, because that's going to be going on for a long time, along with my visits to the oncologist and Shawnee Mission. So that'll take a long time to get through all that. It is what it is, and I'll do what's necessary to make sure I'm here to see grandkids one of these days, and assuming one of my kids has them. But, it's what we have to do whenever we're faced with a cancer diagnosis. And, it's got to be one of the big things that, you have to look at things in a different way when you get a cancer diagnosis. And I don't really have a good way to explain it, because if you've never been there, it's really kind of hard to get what's happening to people whenever this happens. And it's like whenever I was seeing my psychiatrist this week, I was talking to her, and she was commending me on how positive I was about everything and that I was handling things pretty well. And I told her, well, I've got a choice. I can either choose to be miserable and feel sorry for myself and wallow in self-pity and ask the questions of why me? Did I do something wrong? Did I eat the wrong foods? Did I go to the wrong places? Did I do the wrong things? And it doesn't matter. Cancer occurs whether we do anything or not. I was doing all the right things and it still happened. I went to the doctor, I had my exams, I had my mammograms, everything like that. So it's one of those things that it just happens, and we can't determine who it's going to happen to, really. And especially with ovarian cancer being as silent as it is, it's very difficult. Of course, now looking back, I really think I was having some symptoms, either of the ovarian cancer or of the endometriosis that they found while they were in there, because I don't have a gallbladder, so of course I have stomach issues because of that. And I would get random pain in my abdomen, and I just kind of assumed it was gastric in origin, and that it was just, cramps because I had no gallbladder. And now I wonder if it wasn't related to either the endometriosis or the cancer, because it would consistently happen, and I just ignored it, because most people with a uterus just ignore those kind of things, because we're so used to the pain of cramps and other things like that, and it's kind of scary that we get so used to stuff that shouldn't be something you get used to. Pain shouldn't be something you expect every time you turn around. And whether it was the endometriosis or the cancer, either way, it didn't raise a red flag. And I'd been on Zepbound for quite a while, so not getting full, which is one of the symptoms of ovarian cancer, wasn't something that was surprising, because that's the way Zepbound works, is you get full faster. And that seemed to be good. However, looking back, I did lose a lot of weight really, really fast. I went from being almost 300 pounds to almost 200 pounds from starting in March. So that was pretty rapid decline in weight, and I have to wonder if maybe it was a combination of the cancer as well as the Zepbound. So whenever they asked, did you lose any unintentional weight, and I was like, no, not at all. Everything I've lost I've been intending to lose, but I wonder if it wasn't happened to be a combination of those two things. So, but I'll never know for sure, because that's one of those things. I mean, how can you tell? After everything's said and done, there's not a definite way that we know this was a symptom, this wasn't a symptom, this was a symptom of that, this was a symptom of this. It's speculation at most. And the best that I can do is say that, I did the best I could. I mean, I spent the entire year trying to figure out what was wrong with me and why I was so exhausted, why I was so tired. I had every test under the book. I had everything, because I just wanted to eliminate things that could be causing the issues I was having. And it was, like the A1A, rheumatoid factor, hepatitis screening, all these autoimmune things, because I was trying to figure out what was causing me to feel bad, and I just couldn't find it. I had somewhat low iron, and when I had iron infusions, it didn't help. Barely raised it any. So the question was, what was causing all these symptoms if it's not the iron deficiency, because it wasn't really anemia, but because my other stats like the hemoglobin and other things were normal. And I had those 4 iron infusions and it really didn't do anything, and I didn't feel any different. So of course now I know why I didn't feel any different, because I had cancer, and that was most likely what was making the biggest difference. But not much I can do about it after the fact. So who knows? They don't give you easy answers whenever you're looking at all this stuff. And who knows what the future will hold. Maybe I'll have a recurrence down the line, maybe I won't. Looking forward to the day I can say I'm NED, which for those of you that don't know means no disease is detected. No evidence of disease is what it stands for exactly. But because of course when you have cancer, it isn't cured, it's just in remission, and it can always come back. And that's why I will have checks every 3 months, then every year, and probably for the rest of my life. So that's just the way it goes. So I'm taking this weekend mostly for self-care, do a little work for the publishing company I help out with, and get some things done that I want to get done. For those of you that don't know, to raise some money, I sell swag boxes and book boxes and stuff like that include my books, or just are a bunch of fun swag like readers items, gamers items, pride items, stuff like that in each box. And there's stuff full of different things, and I would appreciate it if you checked out what they are, and it will help cover the cost of my out-of-pocket for the year. And they can be shipped anywhere in the United States. People local to me can just arrange to come pick them up without shipping. Just have to arrange it with me. International folks, if you're willing to cover the shipping, I can ship it to you, but some of those can be pretty dang expensive. But anyways, I just want to encourage everyone to keep an eye on things, listen to what your body's telling you. If you feel like something's wrong, something probably is. And don't let the fear of being called a hypochondriac take it away from you that you can't look into these things. So just pay attention. There's no guarantee that everything's going to be found in time, but do your best. And especially those of you with ovaries, still go to the doctor, still get your exams. One of the very few ways to catch ovarian cancer is going to be on a physical exam. And that's if the tumor is big enough to be felt. And it can happen fast, like mine did, developed within 10 months. So just know that watching out and keeping tabs on yourself is really the best way to do it. Alright, well that's it for today. I will check in again soon, and I will see you what we can talk about then. Bye!